really, really thrilled to introduce Zoe Phoenix to everybody. Zoe is the most fantastic practitioner, and spans, has use of different tools, and really will have something different to bring to the Hello Wellness experience. I think really, really excited about this. So she is essentially a mindset coach, a hypnotherapist. She specializes in the menopause area as well, so she's a hypno-menopause practitioner, and she's here to share lots of knowledge with us about some natural and holistic sleep solutions for those of us who struggle sometimes with having a really poor night's sleep, or for people who have a longer term problem with sleep, or for anyone that's trying to help somebody else sleep, because that can be just as important. So I'm gonna hand over to you, Zoe.
Thank you very much for that lovely intro, Sonia. Thank you very much. Just clear my throat. So yeah, first of all, Sonia, thank you so much for inviting me on to speak to you today. I've been looking forward to it immensely. And it's also great as well to be with a fellow menopause champion as well. And also, more importantly, to be collaborating with a brand that, Hello Wellness, which I absolutely advocate. Not only do I use your products, but I also recommend them to my clients as well now, because they just work so well and they really align with my holistic outlook and values and everything as well. And sleep, Hello Wellness is brilliant as well. So I don't use them myself because I sleep brilliantly well, and you'll find out why in a moment, because the things I'm going to go through is what I do. Yeah, Hello Wellness is great for my clients in my practice as well. So I want to take you through now then how you can have a natural and holistic sleep pattern in your life. And I don't know who's joining us today. I'm guessing you might have some sleep issues, or you just want to improve your sleep and so forth. So you're absolutely in the right place. And Sonia's given me a great intro, but as you said, I'm a well-being coach, mindset-based hypnotherapist, specialise in menopause with hypnotherapy. And in essence, I help to awaken the woman or the person within by releasing those unconscious blocks that keep people from being, doing, or having whatever it is they want to be, do, and have in their life. And that, in this scenario, it could be sleep. And I use a proven blend, I suppose, of unconscious programming, mindset coaching, hypnotherapy, and general holistic well-being to guide clients, not just to survive, but to thrive in ways they can never imagine. And sleep is the kind of the foundation of all that, really. So before we kind of dive in, let's kind of get a bit of an understanding of sleep and the importance of sleep, because sleep is, I suppose, it's not just rest. It's actually a critical process for overall health. And during sleep, the body and brain have to go through this essential recovery process that impacts things like our physical health. It supports our immune function. It fights off our illnesses. It aids in muscle repair, growth, which is essential after doing things like exercise. It also regulates our hormones like insulin, cortisol, melatonin, and it maintains a healthy heart, which reduces those heart issues, diseases, and also the risk of high blood pressure. And then for our mental health, it allows the brain to process our emotions, our memories, improves focus, concentration, and problem-solving skills as well. And it also importantly reduces our stress, our anxiety, and helps with our emotional balancing as well. So how sleep affects us, it affects our mood, it affects our energy, and it also affects our cognitive function. And when we don't get enough quality sleep, because sometimes we sleep well, we sleep, but we don't sleep well, or we don't sleep to the quality depth that we need to, it can affect our mood changes. So it increases our irritability, our anxiety, our stress levels, which then means we've got a high risk of depression, emotional instability. It also impacts our energy, so we can have a low energy, no energy, fatigue, ebbs and lows of it, feeling constantly exhausted, sluggish, reduced motivation and productivity as well. And as I said before as well, cognitive decline, so poor memory, you get brain fog, even worse, can't focus, and we have slower reaction times and impaired decision making. We just don't make the decisions at all. We procrastinate a lot as well. And long-term sleep deprivation is linked to things like Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, and weight gain. And the link also between menopause, hormones, and sleep disruption, because menopause often brings around those sleep disturbances due to major hormonal shifts or, declining hormones going into peri and menopause. So we've got the estrogen decline, which can lead to hot flushes, night sweats, mood swings, progesterone decline, which can progesterone is generally a natural sleep-inducing hormone. So when it drops, it can lead to restless sleep and insomnia in some cases. And then with menopause as well, cortisol increases. And this can cause higher stress levels. And it generally causes midnight wakenings, early morning wakenings, and at times difficulty falling to sleep as well. So does any of that resonate with you? I know a lot of women I work with, the cortisol awakening at kind of between 2 and 3 a.m. is generally a major function in their life. And to quickly touch on as well the sleep cycles and why they matter, because sleep cycles repeat approximately every 90 minutes, and each cycle of that consists of a different stage that plays a unique part in recovery of brain function and general overall well-being as well. And there's 4 main stages to sleep. So we have the stage 1, which is our light sleep, and you can see that on the screen now, which is our REM1 sleep. And we're generally in this stage for about 1 to 5 minutes. And this is the transition stage between wakefulness and sleep. So your heart rate, your breathing, your brain waves start to slow down, and it's quite easy to wake up from this stage. Then we go into stage 2, which is our deeper light sleep, or REM2 sleep. It says N2 on there, and we're generally in this phase for around 10 to 25 minutes. And this is when our body temperature starts to drop down, our muscles start to relax, our brain waves slow down further, but with the occasional burst of activity. And this stage is crucial for our memory consolidation and learning. And then we get into stage 3, and this is our deep sleep, and we're generally in this zone for around 20 to 40 minutes. This is also called our slow wave sleep, and this is the most restorative stage of the processes. This is where the brain produces our delta waves and so our body repairs the muscles, the tissues in our body. It supports our whole immune function, our hormone regulation. Our growth hormone is released, which is integral to our well-being. And sometimes if we wake up from this stage of sleep, it causes the really grogginess and the heaviness as well when it's not expected. And then the last stage is our REM sleep, which is our dreaming stage. And we're generally in this for around 10 to 60 minutes generally. And this is where the brain becomes highly active, almost like when you're awake. And we have our most vivid dreams in this state. And this is a key area because this is where we do our emotional processing, our memory consolidation, our creativity. And the body also experiences temporary muscle paralysis to prevent us acting out in our dreams. So if we wake up, sometimes we might feel quite stiff, or we might wake up during that paralysis stage as well, which is completely natural. So how do sleep cycles work? As I said, you go through each cycle lasts about 90 minutes, and we go through anything from 4 to 6 cycles in the night time. In the early of the night, the deep sleep, the REM sleep, so the REM3 sleep dominates, and then later in the evening, the REM sleep becomes slightly longer. And this is why getting a full night's sleep, a good deep night's sleep, between 7 to 9 hours is absolutely essential and critical, really, because cutting sleep short means missing out on that ideal REM sleep, which is the deep sleep, leading to fatigue, brain fog, the poor memory, and ill health in the long term as well. And if you wake up feeling tired in the morning, groggy, or just generally unrefreshed, it's likely you've missed out on that deep sleep stage, or the REM sleep, or the REM3 stage, which means you don't get enough physical restoration. So you might have muscle soreness, body aches and pains, weakened immune system, might get sick more, increased stress, irritability, mood swings, etc., as well, just to name a few of those. And as I've already mentioned, your brain doesn't get enough cognitive and emotional processing. This causes the brain fog, the memory issues, the low energy, the lack of focus, as I said, more mood swings, increased anxiety, and coupled that with depleting hormones as well for menopausal women, it's kind of a massive sledgehammer to us at times. And what's quite interesting, and this was said to me actually just a couple of days ago by one of my clients, is, and in fact, I used to say this when I was younger as well. I used to say, don't worry, I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? It's fine, you know, I've got a lot of life, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And that's what I always used to say until I learned the importance of sleep, because, hey, it's misguided, because it's actually a recipe for a shorter life. And instead of saying I'll sleep when I'm dead, think about I'll sleep well so I can live well, is what I invite everybody to think about. I'll sleep well so I can live well. And if we don't sleep well, chronic sleep deprivation can cut our lifespan by 4 to 10 years. So it's immense, you know, depending on the severity and the duration. And this is what research is showing. Sleeping less than 6 hours a night increases early death by 12%. Regularly sleeping less than 5 hours a night increases the risk of dying from heart disease by 200 to 300%. And people who consistently sleep lower than 4 hours a night have the same cognitive decline as aging 8 years faster. So it's a no-brainer, right? So the bottom line is, the less sleep you get, the shorter and lower quality of life you'll have. So prioritizing sleep and working out what you need to change in your life is absolutely paramount. And it's one of the most powerful ways to live longer and healthier. But I'm going to say that sometimes people don't always not sleep out of choice. Some do, some don't. And some just can't sleep. They can't get to sleep. They can't stay asleep. So let's quickly touch on that now, because there are a few reasons why we can't sleep. I'm not going to go through this whole list that's going to come up, but just a few of the top ones. And one of the big ones I see is unresolved trauma and emotional stress. So past trauma or suppressed emotions, which we generally push down, we don't want to deal with them. This is all kept in the unconscious mind or kept in the nervous system, and then we're kind of kept in a state of alertness the whole time, which is why we can't sleep, because we keep being reminded that something's happening and we need to deal with it. We don't deal with it, we push it down, it keeps popping up. So it's like this yo-yo effect. Anxiety and depression over the past couple of years is a massive one now for lack of sleep. You know, racing thoughts, excessive worry, sadness, hurt. This can make it hard to fall asleep and also stay asleep, because cortisol spikes early in the morning, and this is what causes early wake ups or makes us feel anxious. Then we wake up and it prolongs that wake state. And also things like lack of natural light exposure. Some of us just don't go out the house at times, so too little light exposure, particularly in the morning when we need it the most, weakens the circadian rhythm in us as well. And we'll talk about that in a moment. And morning sunlight in particular helps regulate melatonin and serotonin for a better nighttime sleep. So we have to set ourselves up early in the morning to set ourselves up for a good night's sleep. But again, I'm going to touch on that in a moment. And also, one thing I see happen all the time is overstimulation before we go to sleep. So watching intense TV shows, reading stressful news, for example, scrolling on social media, this all keeps the brain too alert. And the brain needs at least 1 hour, but ideally 2 hours wind down time for proper sleep. And then the other thing I see in my menopause clinic is fluctuations in the estrogen, the progesterone, the cortisol. This can lead to night sweats, frequent wake ups, and restless sleep. And supporting hormonal balances through nutrition or stress management and general lifestyle changes can absolutely help in this as well. And then who wakes up multiple times at night? I know I used to. I used to wake at 3 o'clock, was literally on the dot, could literally time it. So even when clients I've seen adopt these better habits, some still struggle with waking up multiple times in the night. And this usually points to some deeper factors, psychological, emotional, or things happening in the unconscious mind that obviously we're not aware of. And this is the high cortisol and stress response, because if your nervous system is stuck in your flight or fight mode, you'll wake up anxious or restless. You'll be thinking about what's happening. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. So a solution to that is things like breath work, hypnosis, or nervous system regulation techniques before bed. And this can help you shift into your parasympathetic mode and to stop the cortisol and that stress response. Next one, blood sugar imbalances. Eating too many refined carbs or sugars before bed, late night snacking. This can lead to blood sugar crashes, triggering cortisol spikes that wake you up. So ensuring your last meal of the day is full of those proteins and healthy fats and fiber to stabilize blood sugar, and ideally not eating 2 hours before you go to bed, because you'll be doing the wrong thing for your rest and digest system, which I'll come on to in a moment as well. And then, as already mentioned, the hormonal shifts in menopause, the fluctuations of the hormones, melatonin can cause the nighttime awakening. And this is about looking at your nutrition to support your hormone balances, HRT or supplements to help you with that as well. And then the emotional and unconscious triggers. And this is what I work on quite a lot before anything else. The unresolved emotions, the unconscious patterning, the feeling of not being safe or being hyper vigilant. This can all manifest as waking up at night. And what I tend to recommend is hypnotherapy for this, or deeper unconscious work to identify and releasing these blocked emotions, these emotional blocks that are happening, beliefs that have been programmed into us. And end of the day, we don't not sleep for a reason. We don't not sleep because we don't sleep. We sleep because there's something going on within us. So we always need to address that first. And then the other big one I see is the environmental and the sleep hygiene issues. So light exposure, if you're on a busy main road, for example, temperature, the noise, poor sleep environment. So ensuring you've got a nice cool bedroom, particularly if you're going into menopause, having it a lot cooler in there, dark space, quiet, obviously, minimizing the gadgets, the EMF exposure. And also people that generally wake up between generally 2 to 3 a.m. This can also be associated with liver detoxification and again emotional physical stress, because research I've done recently kind of says in traditional Chinese medicine, the liver is believed to be most active in detoxifying the body between generally 1 and 3 a.m. So if you're waking up during this time, it could indicate that your liver is overburdened or struggling with detoxifying properly, or the raised cortisol levels wakens up with the stress or the anxiety as well. And things like alcohol, poor diet, processed food, sugar, excess toxins, caffeine, obviously, environmental and stress all add to this as well. And some quick solutions for that as a quick go-to, which you can start from today, really, which adds as liver support foods such as cruciferous vegetables, beets, dandelion tea is great for this. Drinking plenty of water, herbal teas and water with lemon as well. Cider vinegar, and also your evening routine, which we're going to touch on in a moment. So encouraging that winding down earlier process for liver function, for that rest time to happen properly. So with that in mind, let's look at some natural ways then that we can induce and improve our sleep habits. So a sleep schedule is one thing I always look at first, and it's about having a sleep schedule that aligns with the natural circadian rhythms, and a regular sleep cycle which aligns with your natural rhythms is essential for supporting the body's internal clock, which regulates the sleep, the hormones, and the metabolism as well. And by syncing our sleep patterns with the body's natural cycles, we can improve our sleep quality, reduce nighttime waking, and support your overall well-being. And the sleep-wake circadian rhythm is an internal clock, basically, that runs constantly for that 24-hour cycle, cycling between our alertness and our sleepiness. And at night, we receive signals that it's dark and late in the day, and this causes it to send the message to the brain, which it's time to release the melatonin, which makes us feel sleepy. And then the opposite occurs during the daytime because light signals suppress the melatonin production. So the body thrives on routine. So going to bed and waking up at the same time each day, even on weekends if you can, helps regulate the circadian rhythm, making it easier to fall asleep and wake up naturally. And as I said, it works because the body gets used to the rhythm. It helps to anticipate when to produce that melatonin, which is a sleep hormone, and when to boost the cortisol, the alertness hormone, as we're waking up. So what I do is it works really well for me now, and I have to do this, otherwise I can't. I'm a natural night owl, but now I set an alarm to remind me to. I give myself an alarm 30 minutes prior to me going to bed, because this then signals my body that it's time to relax, stop what I'm doing, prepare for that sleep as well. So it's a really quick hack you can do there. Morning light exposure. So sunlight in the morning is one of the most powerful ways to reset the circadian rhythm and signal to the body that it's time to be awake and alert, because natural light exposure regulates that melatonin production and syncs with that internal clock to the 24-hour clock. And the earlier you get your sunlight in, the more it supports a healthy sleep-wake cycle. So even if you're not due to go out, or you're not going to the office, or whatever, you're not due to go outside, make the effort, get out of bed and go outside as soon as you can. You know, even if it's just 10 minutes, sit near a bright window or something, because it's important within the first hour of waking up, ideally, to do that. And then in the evening, do the opposite. Avoid the bright light in the evening, because the natural thing for our body to do is to produce that melatonin, signaling it's time for sleep. And then the bright or the blue light from screens and bulbs can interfere with this process. So exposure to that artificial light, particularly in blue light from our phones and our tablets and our computers, absolutely suppresses that melatonin, and it absolutely is harder to fall asleep. So just limiting that the usages of that 1 to 2 hours before going to bed would absolutely be beneficial to you. And also dimming the lights as well in the evening. You know, light the candles, turn the main lights off. In my house, I literally walk around in a cave at night time. I might have a little lamp on in the corner of the room, candles, and I'm walking around in a pretty much a dark environment, but I love doing that. And then bedtime rituals. So a constant, as I mentioned before, constant pre-bedtime routine helps signal the brain that sleep is approaching. And it activates that parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest mode, which produces and promotes that relaxation, that restful sleep. And it's basically acts as a cue to the brain to reduce the stress, the mental chatter, and it helps the body transition from a state of alertness to restfulness. And things that you can do to have that calming routine and a really good sleep hygiene is reading, deep breathing. I advise my clients to do meditation or a self-hypnosis session, a warm bath, and just avoid those stimulating activities such as working late, extensive exercise, stressful conversations even as well. And then to follow on with the evening habits, you know, eating too close to bedtime can interfere with the natural sleep cycle because the body is still engaged in that digestion when it should be winding down for sleep. So your metabolism is more naturally active in the morning. So eating earlier on in the day allows your body to better process and utilize your nutrients. And then this aligns with the circadian rhythm, optimizing digestion, energy levels, and recovery. And if your body is still processing food late at night, it competes with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is its role in that deep sleep and recovery. So instead of fully shifting to that recovery sleep mode, your body stays on, prolonging that wakeness and reducing your sleep quality, which is the same for alcohol as well. It's great. It might make you feel drowsy, but it actually disrupts your sleep cycles, particularly the REM sleep, because your body's working overtime to get rid of the alcohol in your body, which is why generally most people feel up, you know, not feeling rested after drinking, even though they have a full 8 to 9 hours sleep. So eating meals 2 to 3 hours before bed. If you feel hungry, if you have to have something, a very light snack with protein, nuts or yogurt, for example, that can help stabilize the blood sugars without disrupting that sleep. And also just having that sleep environment as well. So creating a great sleep environment, not having loads of clutter in the bedroom, not having TVs in the room and things like that as well, using the bedroom for sleep and intimacy obviously as well. So not having the TVs in there. Make sure your brain is associating your room, the bed, with restfulness. You know, don't work in the bedroom, sit in bed working, eating. And if you can't fall asleep within sort of 10 to 20, well, say 20 minutes, get up and go and do something relaxing in another room, and before trying to fall asleep again. And the other thing as well, which is, it's all about the underlying issues that I find is what works the best here. That's the stress, the anxiety, which keeps most people awake, because the chronic stress, the anxiety, and the emotional issues we have in our day-to-day life, and we're super busy, right? It's essential to really address these underlying issues to improve our sleep quality and to restore our natural balance. And as I said, things like mindfulness, journaling, brain dumping before we go to bed. People often wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning as well because they've got to do this tomorrow, haven't done that, thinking about this thought loop process. It doesn't work for us. An unconscious mind is very good at it. It'll keep saying, remember, you've got to do that, and remember, you've got to do that. So if we can kind of brain dump before we go to sleep, it gets it out, and conscious mind can say, right, I don't need to keep reminding them. I can let her sleep or let him sleep now. So always brain dump before you go to bed, or journal as well. So the other thing is, which is really good, is the melatonin rich foods. And I think I've got a slide here for that actually to have. So melatonin isn't just a sleep hormone. It's a powerful antioxidant that supports our immune function, which reduces inflammation and protects us against the oxidative stress as well. And when melatonin production is disrupted by late night eating, blue light exposure, alcohol, stress, we not only struggle with sleep, but also become more vulnerable to illness, hormone imbalances, and even chronic stress, and also chronic diseases. So supporting our natural melatonin production through proper sleep hygiene, the balanced nutrition, and aligning our circadian rhythms is crucial for our long-term health. And there's a few different examples there now. different fruits, seeds, nuts, grains, legumes, the vegetables. Kiwis are brilliant for this. Kiwis and broccoli are amazing, plus all the different various things of the herbal teas, aswanga, warm milk, passion flower tea as well. And you can also get melatonin supplements, which can help in specific cases, such as jet lag, shift workers, or temporary sleep disturbances. But, you know, relying on them long term can interfere with your body's own ability to produce melatonin naturally. So it's a good short term, but I wouldn't recommend it for the long term. Okay, so looked at what foods we can eat. We look at the bed sleep hygiene. So what else can we do? So just implementing these basic daily habits in the morning, the midday, and our evening habits, because I always find our daily habits, they need to align with our values to support our sleep, because sleep is the foundation for our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And when people struggle with sleep, it's often because their daily routines don't support their body's natural rhythms. And this is where we get the excuses. And then we get the excuses, which then leads to more poor sleep, etc., etc. And it's a repetitive downward spiral. So if you can start to link your daily habits as best as possible, it's never going to be a quick fix solution to this, but align them as best as possible, which I've already mentioned, is the getting the sun in the morning, movement and exercise, which helps regulate your cortisol and your energy levels for better sleep. And what I recommend as well, and I do this every morning, is starting the day with positive intention. How are you going to set up your day? Because how we start ourselves off in the morning sets our day up, including our sleep. So positive intention setting, goal setting, what do I need to achieve today realistically? Visualizing how you want your day to go. Meditating, I meditate for at least 15 to 20 minutes most mornings. Journaling, gratitude, and just setting yourself up really well for the day. Because if we're running out of bed and being stressed before we've even got out the front door or at our desk, it's not going to bode well for us. And then eating a nutrient-dense breakfast. Don't skip breakfast. Eat breakfast. You know, it balances your blood sugars. It prevents your energy crashes. It disrupts your sleep. So just simple things like scrambled egg and avocado and toast, yogurt, kefir, oatmeal, nut butters, and things like that is what you need to be eating. And then going into the daily midday habits, which is going to keep our energy high, reducing our stress levels, eating a nice balanced meal for lunch, avoiding those sugar spikes, which then lead to the evening cravings. Staying hydrated, because dehydration does lead to fatigue and restless sleep as well. And just managing your stress throughout the day. Being present is the best thing to manage your stress, because often we're stressed by thinking something from the past, or anxieties from thinking something from the future. If we can just be in the present moment and nothing else, that is a great simple hack to manage your stress levels. Taking a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And this all prevents that high cortisol levels peaking at night time as well. And then coming on to our evening habits, you know, this is about preparing our body for the sleep in the morning and the midday. So as I said, stop eating 3 hours before, limiting your screen time, creating a wind down routine, and being consistent on your sleep schedule. So you can see how your daily choices feed into better sleep and overall well-being, and it's all 100% in your control. It's about prioritizing it. So if I ask anything from today, it's just ask you to start something, take a small step in that right direction that creates these life-changing habits, and just commit to one and do it. And when that one's kind of embedded, go to the next one. And one more sleep intervention I want to obviously talk to you about is the power of hypnotherapy, because I live and breathe hypnotherapy because it's so powerful. It's natural to improving our sleep quality by working with that unconscious mind. And for anybody who doesn't really know much about hypnotherapy, hypnosis is an absolute natural state of mind. It's an altered state of consciousness where the individual is basically deeply relaxed and focused, and it involves a I suppose, a heightened state of suggestibility, because it's going straight to the unconscious level, meaning the person is generally open to more suggestions. And that's how we fire and rewire our neurology from breaking sleep habits, or any habit really. So it's completely natural. We naturally go into hypnosis multiple times a day ourselves. I'm not doing anything to you, and there's no watches. There's no being out of control. It's absolutely natural. And you naturally go into it, you know, when you, sometimes if you kind of zone out, sometimes you naturally go into it throughout the day. So the benefits of hypnotherapy for sleep is, the first one, it calms the nervous system, because hypnotherapy, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for our relaxation and our rest. It lowers our cortisol levels, our stress hormone, and promotes that kind of state of calm before sleep. Hence, most of my clients listen to an audio prior to going to sleep. It also reprograms the unconscious mind. Now, the unconscious mind is generally what governs who we are. We're 97% unconscious. We're like little robots in this world, running around doing everything at the unconscious level. So what we get back in our life is generally we're doing unconsciously. Our unconscious mind pays attention to everything we do. It's where all our learning comes from, our learning behavior, our beliefs. Our conscious mind, for example, can only pay attention to about 7 bits of information at any one time, in the memory at any one time, give or take 2. But the unconscious mind can take in 2 million bits of information per second. So it's huge. And that's why the learning, the unconscious programming comes in, the beliefs, the change. Change can only happen at the unconscious level, can't happen at the conscious level. And the unconscious mind stores all our memories, it governs our emotions, it controls our body. It's responsible, more importantly, for our health and well-being. It controls our perceptions of our senses, what we see, feel, hear, notice. It's habitual. The unconscious mind needs repetition. So when we do hypnosis or any mindset changes, we need to repeat it time and time again. And it generates, stores, and transmits energy. And so when we're transmitting something we don't want, you know, that's what we're going to get back, which is transmitting energy out there. And whatever we put out there is what we get back, because energy is everything, and everything is energy. So the conscious mind actually always takes everything personally. It's always listening to you. So if you're having these thought processes in your head, I'm not good enough at this, I'm fat, I don't feel great, I feel sick, whatever you're telling yourself, the unconscious mind goes, oh, okay, we can do more of that, not a problem. It's literally eavesdropping all the time. So one tip to take away from today is say what you want, not what you don't want, because the unconscious mind will act on it. A classic one is, I don't want to be late. Oh, I don't want to be late is what a lot of people say. And you know, it generally will absolutely happen, because the unconscious mind does not process negative. So as a basic reframe of that, I want to be on time. I want to be on time. I will sleep well tonight. Rather than talking about your poor sleep habits, say, tonight I can sleep well. Tonight I will sleep well. Take repetition, but the unconscious mind will grab onto it. So say what you want, not what you don't want. So hypnotherapy also enhances natural sleep hormones. It increases the natural the melatonin, which regulates, it encourages serotonin release. And I implant anchors into people where they can touch a piece of jewelry or press a part of their body, a finger and thumb together, where they can have natural hormones going through the body to produce them as well, which works really, really well. It can improve the sleep patterns and insomnia. And it deepens the sleep stages as well, which, as we know, is critical. That deep sleep is critical for the recovery and the cognitive function. So it can encourage that deep sleep. And if we can help with that emotional processing as well, and remove the blocks that are preventing that, then we can absolutely move forward and look at that, the beneficial state of the emotional processing and memory consolidation as well. And Hypnotherapy, it helps with nightmares and insomnias, the sleep anxieties as well. So it helps with the whole host of things. And that mind and body connection. We can teach progressive relaxation exercises to ease tension in the body, which you can do before sleep, during the day as well. And I use hypnotherapy for sleep issues all the time in my practice, but particularly with women at the moment going through menopause whose sleep patterns are easily disrupted by those declining hormones. And using hypnomenopause is the way I do that. But as I kind of mentioned previously, it's not about just dealing with lack of sleep. It's actually going far deeper with that, to the unconscious level, what the root cause of it is. Because it's not just about I can't sleep. There's also linked with something else, deep-rooted, or a significant event from the past, or unconscious trauma, something that's happening within us that we don't yet know. And entering midlife as well, with the depleting hormones, life stresses, being in the sandwich generation, more responsibilities, high pressure jobs still. It is no wonder we have sleep issues. And there's nothing wrong with asking for some help sometimes in whatever need we do to do that. So how to use hypnotherapy for sleep? Guided hypnosis track before bed. Listen to that. Practice deep breathing, or do muscle relaxation at night. And muscle relaxation is just tensing muscles and relaxing them down. That produces natural hormone releases as well. And just stay consistent to your practice. Don't do it for a week. This stuff doesn't work. Whatever process you do, it does work, but repetition is key. And I've actually given Sonia a sleep hypnosis track for anybody that's signed up today, which Sonia will send out after this as well, I believe. So you can all have a go at it. Let me know how you get on with it. Give me some feedback. How are you doing? But make sure you listen to it regularly. I'd say listen to it for at least a minimum of 21 days, but ideally 66 days is a kind of an optimum point for change. Our brainwaves change. Our neuroplasticity in our brain changes. A 66 days is the optimum. Okay, and coming finally now, I'm conscious of time, is why is it hard to change? You know all this stuff probably already, right? You hear about it all the time. But why is it so hard to change? People know they're not doing something. You know you're not doing something right. But knowing something and doing something are two different things, because it comes down to choice, habits, deeper unconscious patterns that people get stuck in these cycles of self-sabotage. And what I always find as well, people often choose short-term comfort over long-term well-being, whether it's staying up late scrolling, which is just an avoidance, by the way, eating that late-night snack, or skipping that workout, excuses. These choices compound over time, leading to poor sleep, low energy, declining health as well. And most people, from my experience, are generally unclear what truly matters to them. So their habits are, I suppose, are shaped by being on autopilot behaviors, societal expectations, short-term gratification rather than intentional living. And this is why I think it's very important to help people reconnect with their values, whether it's health, vitality, confidence, freedom, sleep. They naturally start making better choices, because those choices align with who they want to be, who you want to be. And that in turn improves your sleep habit and your overall well-being. And getting a good night's sleep, well, first of all, before I come to that, actually, this is where the mindset work is crucial for getting a good night's sleep, because it's not just about what we do. It's about why we resist doing it, getting fit, sleeping better, eating healthier, lifestyle changes, because these are all within our control. It's our beliefs, our patterns that hold us back at times, and the lack of knowledge at times as well. And people who struggle with sleep, it's because they struggle to form that new habit, because they aren't anchored into their deepest values and desires. And then when habits feel like rules rather than aligned choices, this is where the resistance and the friction kicks in generally. And says there, mindset work is crucial. You need to do the work. You need to ask for the help. And what I invite you to think about is let your future self thank you for the choices you're making today. And don't live in that regret in 10, 20, 30, 40 years time, where you can live in regret, fighting for your well-being. And you've got your well-being and your health now, keep it. Don't live in regret in the future trying to get well. It doesn't make sense, right? And generally, from stats and information and research, most people spend the last kind of 15 to 20 years of their life in poor health because they haven't put the work in now. They put it off, and then they're chasing that wellness afterwards. So do what your future self wants you to do and look after your health now, and then you'll absolutely have a great well-being and great sleep for the future. Okay, that's me done. And Robin Sharma, one of my advocates of anybody wants to know how to kind of install habits within them and work routines. I follow Robin Sharma quite a lot. And as he says there, change is hard at first. It's messy in the middle, but gorgeous at the end. And I invite you to do that. So don't let the change part at the first put you off and quit. Keep going, and you'll reap the rewards from it.